All right, depreciation. We already talked about it. Basically, what we're going to do with depreciation is match the cost of an asset to the revenue that it's helping to generate. All right, and most assets will wear out, and most of them do depreciate in value. Land generally doesn't necessarily wear out, and we don't depreciate land because it doesn't have a life. We will talk about depletion later in the chapter, which is what you use when you pull stuff out of the land. So if you have timber or oil or gas fields or things of that nature, mine, any type of mining, then we calculate depletion, but we still don't depreciate land. And then you might have some other assets, like I said earlier, that might actually appreciate in value, such as a building, depending on where it was purchased. But we're still going to depreciate the cost. Okay. So there are three things that we usually will, $3 amounts, three numbers generally, to calculate depreciation. We need the cost, the useful life, and the residual value. I sometimes call this salvage value. So if you hear me use the word salvage value, it's the same thing as residual value. The useful life will usually be a given, and if not, then what's usually a given. But if you have to look it up at some point in time, there are books, there are tables that have been put together by the IRS or different accounting places like that you can find. And then residual value it's what you estimate it will be worth. The asset will be worth at the end of its life. So this is like the trade-in value of a car, for instance. All right, some of the depreciation methods are calculated based on what we call depreciable cost, which is cost minus residual. And once again, if I say salvage value, then it's the same thing as residual. And we're going to be learning three methods. All right, three methods. There's more than three, but three methods we will be learning to calculate depreciation. All right, the first one is straight line. We've already kind of done it. The second one is units of output. And the third one is double declining balance. All right, and we're going to base everything off of this. So you know what? I'm going to copy this over to here. All right, and then I'm just going to minimize this and make this one big. Oh, excuse my star there that I was shopping for earlier. Okay, so we're going to use this to do the three methods. All right, straight line is the first one we'll do. I'll do that over here out to the side. All right, straight line depreciation. Notice my little abbreviation here, SL. Straight line depreciation is cost minus residual, so it's the depreciable cost. And then that is divided by life in years. Okay? Put some parentheses in here. All right, so for this one, it's going to be $41,000 minus the $1,000 salvage divided by 5 years. So 40,000 divided by 5. And that is $8,000 per year. All right, straight line is like its name. It's the same amount every year. It's constant. So you would do $8,000 a year for 5 years. All right, so every year at December 31st, whatever, you would say depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation for $8,000. Okay, then you would do the same thing for 12/31/2020. Oops. All right, and so on for 3 more years. Okay. At the end of year 5, accumulated depreciation will equal $40,000, and book value will equal the 1,000 salvage value. Okay? So a lot of times what this book likes y'all to do is a little table here. So we've got the date, depreciation expense, a rate. You know what? Actually, we've got depreciable cost. A rate, depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, and book value. All right, so let me go over here. All right, so I'm assuming they bought this. Let's say we bought it at 1/1/19. I'm sure it tells us. So if I have different dates, don't worry about it. All right, my depreciable cost is the cost minus salvage value, okay, or residual value. So my depreciable cost, actually I don't do that yet. I'm starting off, this is January 1st. So I'm going to come over here, and when I purchase it, my book value is, my whole thing is $41,000. That's what I paid for it. Don't write anything here in this top row. Okay, don't write anything in that. Then at the end of the first year, my depreciable cost is the $41,000 minus the 1,000 book value, or 1,000 salvage value. And my depreciable cost stays the same the whole way. All right, the whole 5 years. All right, my rate, I'm dividing by 5. It's a 5-year life. So in this case, my rate is 1/5. And if I change that to a number, why is it doing that? All right, it's going to change it to that. All right, so basically this is 1 over the life, and which means it's 20% in our case. Okay, it's 1/5. So what I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 1/5 or 20%. I'm going to write like that. All right, then you would multiply. So it equals the 40,000 times the 20%. And that rate stays the same every year. It doesn't change. All right, then accumulated depreciation is going to add up each year. So for the first year, it's just what you have. It's what you did in the first year. All right, and then my book value is my cost minus accumulated depreciation. So this is cost minus accumulated depreciation. All right, so my depreciation expense is basically the same. It's the cost, or the depreciable cost, times the rate. And that stays the same. I can just copy that down. Cost times the rate. Depreciable cost times rate. All right, and then for the next year, I'm going to add the first year plus my current year depreciation expense. So it's going to equal what I currently have in accumulated plus what I'm adding this year. All right, and then this is going to be my cost, so my total cost minus my accumulated. So total cost minus the accumulated. Total cost minus accumulated. Total cost minus accumulated. All right, and it should end at residual value. All right, should end at residual value. All these are dollars. So is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Okay. All right. Now the next one is units of output. And we may need to copy a little more, so let me go see over here. Did they tell us somewhere? Okay, so here are the, let me copy this. Okay, units of output is very similar to straight line. All right, I just copied the information over. All right, so for units of output, it is, the first thing you have to do, it's cost minus residual. And then it's divided by life in output. So instead of life in years, it's life in outputs. I'm laughing because I can't type at all. All right, so for this one, it's going to be the 41 minus the 1,000, and then divided by the 100,000 miles. This is the estimated life and output. So 100,000 miles. All right, so that's going to equal divided by 100,000. All right, and this is 40 cents per mile. Then each year, multiply that year's miles times the rate. And that equals depreciation expense. All right, so if we do it like this little thing up here, let me just copy this. It's going to change a little bit, so. So for units of output, you don't have depreciable cost here. You have output. You have the yearly output. Then you have the rate. Then this is output times the rate. And the rest stays the same. All right, so 1231.20. Smart Touch Learning expects to drive the truck 20,000 miles the first year. So they drove it 20,000 miles the first year. The rate is 40 cents. So then you multiply the 20 times the 0.4. That's my depreciation expense the first year. Accumulated depreciation is just the first year. And then book value is your cost minus your accumulated. All right, 12/31/2019, we expect, I'm sorry, 12/31/2021, we expect to drive 30,000, then 25,000, then 15,000, then 10,000. Remember, I just made up these dates, so don't worry about the dates if they're wrong. And I'm wrong on the dates already, 12/31. All right, so this rate right here, this stays the same every time. So this is 40 cents every time. And then you multiply it out. So the miles times the rate. All right, miles times the rate. And then your depreciation each time, remember, is your cost minus, I'm sorry, your cumulative depreciation is just your, what you have that year. All right. And then for the next year, it's what you had in there plus what you added this year. So what you have in there plus what you're adding this year. What you had in there plus what you added, what you had plus what you added. And then remember, your book value is your cost minus the current accumulated. So cost minus accumulated. Cost minus accumulated. And of course, once you have it once, you can just copy it. Well, actually, no, I couldn't. Do y'all know why this messed up? Because it went up to the 33,000 instead of the 41. All right, so if you put a formula in Excel and you always want it to go back to the 41, what Excel does is it counts up. So my formula is go up 1, 2, 3, 4 places and pick up that number. Well, when I copied it down, it went up 1, 2, 3, 4 places and it picked up 33,000. So if I want to always go to the 41,000, I have to make that absolute. Okay, so that's L40. So my L40, I need to put a dollar sign in front of it and make it a 0. So when I copy that, it always stays L40. It's like if I copy this up, no, it didn't change anything. All right, it always says L40. And then let me make these all no. Okay, and notice we stopped at residual. But it worked out. It stopped there for us because of our calculations. Since we subtracted it out to get up here, then it automatically stops when we get there. It's part of our calculation. Okay, so I'm going to stop this one here, and I'm going to do a whole nother video for double declining.